And hello, all you Stay Tuners out there. Welcome back for another episode of Stay Tuned Sports, episode 18. Lots to talk about this week. Very exciting week in sports. But before we get into all that, I'll give you out the whole social media, Twitter, Facebook stuff. You can follow the show at ST Sports Podcast. Catch me at Jimbo ST Sports, or go over to King, which is at King of Skunk Duck. You can also catch us on Facebook. We post some stuff there sometimes. But you can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play. I still gotta try to get us on some the other ones. But like I said earlier, there was a lot of action happened this past week in sports, a lot of college, but NFL is definitely going to dominate the show this week because of just this past weekend's games and stuff that happened after Sunday night games. You know, you had Josh Gordon. That news broke Friday that he was being considered to be released. We'll go into that. Antonio Brown going on Twitter saying trade me. What's that all about? But we're gonna start the show off with a little college football talk. I'm not sure if anybody watched the Notre Dame Vanderbilt game, but I was once again not too happy with how the game went. Vanderbilt, an unranked team, just stuck around. Somehow still stuck around. Wimbush, I still think needs to be benched. It just seems like that offense has no spark. You know, maybe if you bring in Ian Book, he may, cause a little fire under everybody's butt, and we'll see what happens. But this week they got Wake Forest. Should be, in my opinion, a little easier game. Hopefully this is the game they come out firing on all cylinders, and just finally blows out a team. Not too many surprising games this past Saturday. The only one I really noticed was the LSU Auburn game. You had LSU upsetting Auburn 22-21, and I can't remember. I think I said that last week that could be a real good game, and sure enough, turned out to be a good game. Alabama playing all cupcakes again. But maybe this week will be the week to see if they're really as talented as their scores say. They have Texas A&M, who's ranked 22 this week. It's not a top 10 team, but they're a ranked team, so you can't take them too lightly. I'm hoping that Texas A&M beats them. I'm just tired of hearing the whole Roll Tide. It's kind of like they're the Patriots of the college for me. I just want to see someone else win. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but it gets tiresome seeing the same teams every finals, and college football is a lot more exciting than NFL, and I just wish it could be even more exciting if someone else was there other than Alabama. But on the other hand, though, it just shows how good Nick Saban is with the scouting and getting his team ready week in and week out. But you never know. This could be the week that this would be the big upset that we could get finally against Alabama. Other than that, I think there was only one other ranked game that I might keep a close eye on. It's the Stanford-Oregon game. You got Stanford coming in at number 7 and Oregon at number 20. You got Notre Dame right behind Stanford at 8. And I believe next weekend, not to look ahead, but next weekend we have Stanford play Notre Dame at night. So if Stanford could pull this win out against Oregon and Notre Dame wins next week, maybe we could climb up, to 6 or 5. But then again, who knows? I mean, past 2 weeks with Notre Dame, not very convincing wins. I'm even surprised that they stayed at 8 these past 2-3 weeks. But I'm gonna get a little ahead of myself there because Notre Dame's got to get through this week first, and then worry about next week. Other than that, there wasn't really much college football talk going on. But there was a lot of NFL news, even during halftime of the Bills game. Did anybody see about Vontae Davis retiring right before the second half? I was on Twitter when I was watching the Eagles game with my dad, which that was a pathetic offensive output by my team. But scrolling through Twitter, seeing what's going on, seeing any type of injuries and stuff like that, and came across that Vontae Davis has retired at halftime. I'm like, I thought that was one of those clickbait type Twitter accounts just making fake news up or something like that. And then Adam Schefter was reporting it, and all the other reporters were reporting it. And I just started laughing. I'm like, I can't believe that's true. So, finally came home after the Eagles loss, and still on Twitter and Facebook, and saw one of the Bills linebackers talking about it, and I just could not believe that. So I found an article on ESPN talking about what exactly happened and stuff like that. And what it says is Buffalo Bills cornerback Vontae Davis abruptly retired at halftime on Sunday's 31-20 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, saying in a statement later that the reality had hit him. I shouldn't be out there anymore. Davis, a 10-year veteran, said he meant no disrespect to his teammates and coaches, but that physically he could no longer play at the standard he set for himself. Bills coach Sean McDermott said that he pulled himself out of the game. McDermott also said that he communicated to us that he was done. Linebacker Lorenzo Alexander alerted reporters to Davis's abrupt retirement after the game. Never have seen it, never, Alexander said. Pop Warner, high school, college, pros, never heard of it, never seen it, and it's just completely disrespectful to his teammates. He didn't say nothing to nobody. I found out going into the second half of the game, they say he's not coming out, he retired, that's it. Later that night, Vontae Davis did release a statement. It's pretty long, so I'm not even going to go into it, but basically his statement said that he was just mentally, physically done. Now, on one hand, I'm glad he did that, because you don't want someone playing this game who is not ready. It's almost like a boxer who's mentally broken and just stands there, not protecting himself, and just getting punched. But the only part that I do have an issue with is, okay, if you know you're physically and mentally done, then go to your coach and tell him that. But just don't just leave. Just stay on the sidelines. You still can root, your teammates on. And then that Monday or Tuesday morning, whichever day after the game, that's when you should announce it. You don't just up and leave like that. And I kind of agree with Alexander. To me, it is a little disrespectful. You got players here that are, putting it all online, and you just leave the building and not tell anything to your teammates. The coaches had to tell all the players and assistant coaches. I know in the year, in the time of everybody worrying about the concussions and the CTEs, he is making the right call by doing this. but I think he went the wrong way of ending it. Now, with that being said, though, some of the memes coming out about it, I mean, they were ruthless. They definitely weren't holding back. And, 10-year vet, I hope that Davis invests his money well, so just in case down the line he does have some type of issues. And I hope he doesn't for his sake. But I've never seen something like this before. I've been watching football for about 20-25 years now, and never. I've seen players retire halfway through a season, but never during a game. So definitely a new situation, and hopefully it all works out for both Davis and the Bills going forward. Now, talking about things working out for teams, the Steelers are not doing that well. As of right now, they're 0-1-1. They tied the Browns. They lost last week to the Chiefs. We had that game on at the bar as well, and I mean, I'll give them credit. They fought back. I stopped watching it, I think, when it was 21 or 28 nothing, and they clawed their way back, made it a close game. But the next day, Antonio Brown decided to go on Twitter, and a former PR guy of the Steelers took a shot at Brown, basically saying that Big Ben is the one that made Brown, and was the reason why Brown got the big contracts or the extension. And so Brown tweeted back to him, "Trade me and see what I do elsewhere." Now, in a day of scrutinizing players on social media and stuff, I mean, this is a high school thing that you learn in high school not to do. I mean, why would you do something like this? And then to further speculation, the next day, I believe it was Monday, he didn't show up to practice. So I know myself, when I saw that he didn't show up to practice, I started watching Twitter and Facebook, and all the rumors started flying. The Vegas bets came out, what were the odds of certain teams getting them, and I know me as an Eagles fan, I would have loved to have him. I would have given up 2 first-rounders for him. I mean, he's definitely the best receiver out there. But you put this, and you put the whole Le'Veon Bell situation, this Steelers team is just a mess. I mean, it's only going into week 3, and they're already imploding. Like, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how they could fix this team. I don't see, if they keep going this way, I don't see Mike Tomlin lasting the season. I don't see him making past week 8. I think the best thing the Steelers could do right now to try to fix this problem is this. I personally think it still goes back to Bell. He's the one that started this whole circus of a show. I think you gotta get rid of him. You gotta pull the franchise tag or trade him away. And then if Bell wants to speak up about being traded, maybe go full rebuild mode. Big Ben's only got a year or 2 left. You got James Conner, who's looking like at least a decent featured back, if not a good featured back. Start building again. I'm curious to see what everybody else's feelings about the Steelers are. But to talk about a receiver that did get traded this past week is Josh Gordon to the Patriots. Now, I know everybody hates the Patriots, and this was the best move they could do. Going into the season, we all knew they had wide receiver problems. Yes, Josh Gordon has his demons, his issues, but so did Randy Moss. Now, I'm not saying he is Randy Moss as far as talent. Randy Moss was a one-of-a-kind monster. But they all talk about the Belichick way, the Patriots way. Maybe this is what Gordon needed. Maybe he needed that change of scenery. Now, in return for Gordon, the Browns get a 2019 5th-round pick, while the Patriots will get a 2019 7th-round pick if Gordon is not active for 10 games. Now, I'm curious to see how many teams did call. It was anywhere between 8 to 10 teams. I mean, I don't understand now, because it came out Friday night about the Browns finally being done with Gordon, that they were going to release him. Come Monday morning, he was inactive for the game Sunday. Why would teams, why would they trade for him? If they know he's going to be cut, why try to trade for him? And maybe that's why they only got a 5th-round pick. I mean, again, I think he's a 3rd or 4th-round type talent. If he didn't have the issues, he'd definitely be a 2nd-round type talent. But with the issues, obviously that drops it. But looking at the Patriots side of this, I mean, I still think they got a steal. He's a free agent after this season, but the Patriots could tender him. So basically, they still have another year of him, as long as he stays out of trouble. Since he led the league in receiving yards, I think they said, 3 years ago, I believe it was, he's only played 10 games since due to injury or suspensions. And looking at the Patriots receiving situation now, okay, so they add Gordon. This definitely helps Gronk right now, because now everybody's got to worry about Gordon if they try to double team Gronk. And I believe they get Julian Edelman back after week 4. I think he only got suspended 4 games for PEDs. So this team could be pretty tough. If you line up Gordon to be your deep threat, Edelman to do what he does, the little dump passes or slot receiver, and then Gronk being Gronk. The running game is okay, but again, when you have those 3 players, you don't need a Hall of Fame running back. So they pretty much just added 2 or 3 wins onto their record because of this move. And I mean, no one was going to catch them as far as the division, I don't think. Jets are going to have a year or 2 away. Sam Darnold looks decent. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to be a bust. Dolphins are terrible. And the Bills just can't keep players playing. They got the problems with LaShawn McCoy, with the court cases with his ex-girlfriend and all that stuff going on. So the Patriots definitely going to win this division. There was no questions asked. Now they could possibly go after, 1st or 2nd seed now with this move. So, and as far as the Browns, maybe the Browns could use that 5th-round pick on a good kicker. I actually am starting to feel sorry for Browns fans. I mean, I've gone through the Rich Cote era. I've gone through the Ray Rhodes era. I know some bad seasons, but this is just terrible and just pure bad luck. You tie the Steelers in week 1 when the game-winning field goal got blocked. Then you're playing the Saints, which I know last week I said the Saints would have blown them out. I could not believe how good that defense held Drew Brees in check. And watching the last 2-3 minutes of the game on my phone, like the updates, when the Browns scored that, I believe it was like 47 or 48 yard touchdown, and then only to miss the extra point, tie the game up at 18-18. And I said that to my dad about it, and I said the only problem is there was a minute and a half left. That's way too much time to leave on the clock with Drew Brees. And sure enough, Drew Brees, I think it was Ted Ginn he connected with and got down the field goal range. They kicked the field goal and end up winning the game, giving Browns yet again another loss. But the kind of the funny story coming out of that whole game was the Browns kicker. I don't know if anybody saw this on social media, but the Browns kicker, I forget his first name, but his last name is Gonzalez, when he missed the extra point to put them up 19-18. A lot of the Browns fans started tweeting this Gonzalez account. You stink. I don't think there was any death threats. Hopefully there wasn't, but just putting this Gonzalez guy down. And the problem was, they were all tweeting the wrong Gonzalez. Turns out the person they were tweeting was a high school baseball coach. I actually felt bad for this guy because he's probably not, he may not have been even into football. And he's probably wondering himself, like, why am I being attacked by these people? So kids, always check to make sure you're tweeting the right person. And look what happened with Antonio Brown. Check before you hit send. But to kind of look back on the week 2 games, for the second week in a row, we had another tie. The Minnesota Vikings against Green Bay Packers, 29-29. Now, I don't remember a time of back-to-back ties, and also within the first 2 weeks. I know there's been 2 or 3 ties during the season, but never back-to-back, and never in the first 2 weeks of the season. And I know with this game, there was a little bit of controversy with the Clay Matthews. I think they called roughing the passer on him for the hit. I know Clay Matthews said that they're starting to get a little ridiculous with protecting the quarterback, which I agree. I totally agree with him. One of the biggest roughing the passer penalties I cannot stand is when a defensive player's hand hits or touches a quarterback's head. You are taught that if you don't think you're going to get to the quarterback, or right before he throws the ball, put your hands up in the air. Where are your hands going to go after the ball is past you? They're going to go down. You got to bring them down. Now, I agree if someone cocks back and punches Tom Brady in the head, yes, I definitely think that should be a penalty. But if it's incidental contact, I mean, come on. And then, some of these roughing the passer penalties where, you kind of fall on him, on the quarterback, they throw the flags now. It used to be you had to drive the quarterback into the ground to get the penalty called. Like, it's starting to get ridiculous. And, a couple weeks ago, me and King talked about, the XFL and all the new leagues coming out. I'm actually excited for them. Hopefully they aren't so picky or bad with these type of penalties, and we can get back to having fun football. This NFL, it's slowly turning into flag football. I could see within the next 10-15 years, it's basically two-hand touch football. I understand, like I said with the Vontae Davis thing, I understand about the concussions and CTE worries. I totally understand that, but it's a violent sport. Now, I didn't mean to get on a little rant there, but like I said, the Saints bet the Browns 21-18. The Chiefs won 42-37. Yeah, it was 21-0 in the first quarter, and the Steelers came back in the second quarter to tie it all up. I didn't think the way the Steelers were playing, they were going to score any type of points. And then the Buccaneers against the Eagles, right before that first pass by Fitzpatrick, my dad's sitting next to me, and he's saying to me, I don't believe in the Fitz magic, and he's a good quarterback, but he's not as good as everybody's making him sound. And I said, don't think that. We gotta get to Fitzpatrick. We gotta smack him around. Fitzpatrick hikes it and throws it up to Deshaun Jackson, 75 yards. And needless to say, yes, I did pick up Deshaun Jackson and Fitzpatrick on my fantasy team this past week, because the one thing I've seen with Fitzpatrick, and it's kind of weird, if you look at him over the years, and I'm curious to see, I meant to look this up this past week, if he's on a one-year deal or is this his last year of his contract. The last year of his contract, he always has outstanding numbers. And then he goes and signs a big contract, and then he's back down to earth until that last year of the contract. He's a contract year player. And I will not be surprised if he puts up awesome numbers this year. And I cannot see Tampa Bay going back to Winston this year. They're still saying the right things by saying he's the future and this, that, the other thing. But again, here's another player that's in and out of trouble every year. So I think Fitzpatrick, unless he starts having a complete collapse, will be your Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback until further notice. And then when I got home, I put the Rams and the Cardinals on because I have Jared Goff. And that was a mistake. 34-0, the Rams won. Now again, when you have Sam Bradford as a quarterback, you're going to have that happen. He's very smart with his contracts, but he's not a good football player. And then I think it was Sunday night, we had the Giants and the Cowboys once again. Giants have no offensive line, and the Cowboys win 20-13, which again to me is not a very impressive win just because of the Giants' offensive line. Saquon Barkley, he's definitely your future running back. Eli Manning playing behind that line probably should retire after this season so he doesn't turn into a vegetable. And as far as the Giants, if they keep playing that way, I'm going to be able to keep the King James belt this week, or this year again, against good old King. But so that's the review for last week. Instead of me running down the whole list and give my picks for this week, I'm only gonna pick 3 this week. I'm gonna pick a upset alert and just 2 other games. So my upset alert that I'm going to go with, since we were talking about Antonio Brown, I think this week has to be the week that they pull it out. The Buccaneers are 2-0, Steelers are 0-1-1. Even though Pittsburgh's the favorite by 1.5 points, I still think Tampa Bay is the hotter team. I'm going to go Steelers 24, Buccaneers 21 with the 3-point win. Another game I'll go with is actually tonight's Thursday night game, Jets against the Browns. I'm hoping for the Browns to win this. And if the Browns defense could do what they did against Drew Brees, I think Sam Darnold can have a long night, and hopefully still come down to a kicker, just for the Browns' sake. But I still think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to go with 14 Browns, 10 Jets. And then my high-scoring game I'm going to pick this week is the Saints against the Falcons. I think you have to go with the Falcons just because of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I don't think the Saints defense has gotten a whole lot better than last year. I'm going to go with Falcons 25. No, 20. We'll go with 28. 28-21 Falcons. So with that all being said, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for listening. You could catch us on TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. You could also follow us on Twitter. You can follow the show at ST Sports Podcast. You can follow me at Jimbo ST Sports, and you can also follow King at King of Skunk Duck. So I think that's going to be it for this week. This is your good friend Jimbo. I will see you again next week.